All right, welcome to Block 9 and Topic 7, Rational Numbers. You should be open in your workbook to page 215. If you're not there, you need to turn there now. So this section deals with how we make things automatic in our brain, like 2 times 3. We learned back in elementary school, 2 times 3 is 6. We've used it so much so we basically have it memorized in our brain now. So we want to try and start getting some of these negative and positive numbers memorized in our brain. It says, have you ever learned how to do something new? Was it challenging for you? Learning a new skill takes practice. After lots of practice, some of your skills become automatic. In other words, you have developed automaticity when it comes to those skills. Being automatic with skills doesn't mean you do it without without thinking about it. Rather, it means that you understand the skill and you know how to execute it. This frees you to concentrate on applying the skills in a new context. Now you don't have to think about 2 times 3. You can think about how to solve a problem using 2 times 3. The time it takes to master or become automatic with those skills can vary from task to task and person to person. In this exploring, you will strengthen your skills with adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing rational numbers. You will continue to use these skills in the rest of this course and in future math courses. So the first thing we're wanting to do on number 1, actually before we do anything, I want you to get a sticky note, and we're going to write this sticky note here. This is kind of a song I use to help me remembering when adding and subtracting with different signs. And it kind of goes to the beat of Row, Row, Row Your Boat. I know that's some sick jams. It's awesome. But it says same signs, add and keep. Different signs, subtract. Keep the sign of the larger number, then you'll be exact. So if my signs, if I have 2 negatives, I'm going to add them and keep the negative sign. I have different signs, like a negative and a positive. I subtract them, and I keep the larger number, the sign of the larger number, then obviously I'll be exact. So copy this onto your sticky note, and we'll use that for a few of our problems. All right. So looking here, if you remember, we always need to change subtraction problems to addition when dealing with negative numbers so we can read them. So I'm going to rewrite this as -3 plus a -1.5. Now using my song, I see that both of these numbers are negative, so those are same signs. So my sticky note says to add and keep. So I'm going to add these 2 numbers together. When I add them together, I get 4.5. And my song says add and keep. I keep the negative that it has. So it's a -4.5. Or some of us like using the number lines. If you still like using a number line to figure these out, that's fine. Just another trick. Okay, I see an addition problem, so I don't need to change it, but I see a negative plus a positive number. So those are different signs. My song tells me I need to subtract the 2, so I have 4 minus 3.5, so I need to add a 0.0 to 4. I need to subtract these, and I gotta borrow. Oops, that becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 3 minus 3 is that. So I get 0.5 My song says subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. Well, is a 4 or a 3.5 larger? 4 is bigger and it has a negative on it. So that means my answer has to have a negative on it. So my answer to B is negative 0.5. All right. C. I have a subtraction problem. I need to rewrite. So 3.11 plus negative 6.25. See, I have a positive and a negative, which means I have different signs, so I need to subtract them. So I'm going to pretend like they're both positive. Come over here and just subtract my bigger minus my smaller, ignoring their signs right now. So that gives me a 4, a 1, and a 3. Now I have to come back to my song. Different signs subtract, keep the sign of the larger number. Is 311 a larger or 625 larger? This is larger. Its sign is a negative, so that means my final answer sign needs to be a negative. Alright, D, I have addition. I have a negative and a positive, so different signs. So I subtract. I ignore the signs. I'm going to take the larger number, subtract the smaller. I've got to do some borrowing here. 4, 9, 14. It gives me 8. 8. Bring down my decimal. 2, 1. Okay, is 32 or 45 the bigger number? 45 is the bigger, and it's a positive, so my final answer stays a positive. Next question, I see a subtraction. I rewrite it as addition. So plus negative 65.54. I have a positive and a negative. That's different signs, so I subtract. So 65.54 minus 50.16. Gotta borrow here. It gives me an 8. 3. Bring down my decimal. 5. 1. Then I go back to my problem to see what sign it needs. 50 bigger or 65 bigger? It's bigger, it has a negative, so this needs a negative. So that would be my answer to E. And F. I have an addition problem, a negative and a positive. That's different signs. So I subtract. I'm going to do 300 minus 22.36. I need to fill this with some decimals. Subtract this. I got to do some borrowing. Changes to a 2, 9, a 9, a 9, and this is a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. 9 minus 3, 6. Bring down my decimal. 9 minus 2 is 7. 9 minus 2 is 7. 2 minus nothing is 2. Now I need to see if it's positive or negative. My bigger number is a positive, so that stays a positive, and there's my answer. Alright, circle number 2. We're going to come back to that in a second. And let's go to number 3. Okay, I have some fractions I need to practice adding and subtracting with. So I'm going to go put A right here. And I have a negative 5 plus 2.5. All the fractions, adding or subtracting, I have to have common denominators. So right now I have a negative 5 over 1. I'm going to change this to a mixed number. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 2. I don't have common denominators yet. My common denominator between a 1 and a 2 would be a 2. So I need to change this to have a denominator of a 2. How does 1 change to 2? Multiply it by 2. So multiply negative 5 times 2. I get negative 10. This has already got a denominator of 2, so I'm good. So I ignore the bottom. I have a negative 10 plus a positive 5. That's different signs, so I subtract. 10 minus 5 is 5. Keep the sign of the larger number. The larger number is a negative. Keep the same denominator. Now I can just simplify this. 2 goes into 5. I'm going to bring out my negative to the front here. 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4, so I'm going to have 1 left over. And that would be my answer for A. Let's try B. 2 minus 4 1/4. Alright. First, I want to change that to fractions. So 2 over 1 minus, change this to improper. 4 times 4 is 16 plus 1 is 17 over 4. Now I want to change this to addition problem so I can read it. Plus negative 17 over 4. These mean the same thing. Now I need common denominators. I have a 1 and a 4. Common denominators between that would be 4. So I need to change 1 to 4. So I need to multiply by 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. This already has a denominator of 4, so I'm just going to copy it. Now I can simplify. I have a positive and a negative, so different signs. So different signs subtract. 17 minus 8 gives me 9. Sign of the larger number would be a negative. And keep the same denominator. Then I simplify this, bring out my negative. 4 goes into 9 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. I have 1 left over. So that would be my simplified answer for B. Alright, testing C now. They're both in fractions, so I'm gonna, but it's a subtraction problem. I'm gonna change it to addition. I can move this negative anywhere in the fraction I want. It won't change the problem. Okay, I need common denominators. I'm going to go with 20. So 4 times what gives me 20? 5 does. So 1 times 5 gives me that. 5 times what gives me 20? 4. So negative 3 times 4 gives me negative 12. Now I have a positive and a negative. That's different signs, so I subtract. 12 minus 5 is 7. Keep the sign of the larger number. Larger number is that, negative, over 20. And I see, can that simplify? No, so I'd probably bring out that negative and write it like this, or you could leave it like that as well. They mean the same thing. Alright, let's go with D. First thing I would do here is change them to improper. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So negative 5. over 2 plus 3 times 6 is 18 plus 1 is 19 over 3. Then I notice I don't have common denominators, so I need common denominators between a 2 and a 3. I'm going to go with a 6. So I need 2 to change to a 6, so 2 times 3 gives me 6. So negative 5 times 3 gives me negative 15. 3 times what gives me 6? 2. So 19 times 2 gives me 38. Okay, now I have a negative and a positive, which means they're different, so I subtract. I know the denominator is going to be 6. 38 minus 15 gives me 23. Keep the sign of the larger number. 38's larger and it's positive, so that's positive. Now I just simplify this. 6 goes into 23. Go in 3 whole times. 3 times 6 is 18. So I have 5 left over. That would be my final answer for D. Alright, circle number 4. We'll come back to that one in a second. Let's go to number 5. A has the crazy looking problem, but we know we have to do order of operations, our PEMDAS. Some people keep messing up on this. Multiplication and division go together in order from left to right. So the first problem you get to, if it's division, you're going to do it before multiplication. Same thing with addition, subtraction. If I first have a subtraction come before an addition, and I've done all of these steps already, do the subtraction first. Alright, so parentheses. I see parentheses and there's work to be done in it. I see a division problem. So I am going to rewrite this in a nicer looking way here. So my parentheses, I have a negative 1/3 divided by negative 2/3, but we don't divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, and I have a +1. That already looks better. So now I can do the work in the parenthesis. Notice how I keep bringing the work down, showing all my work. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Well, a negative divided by a negative, I have 2 negatives, so that's a positive. This whole thing turns to a positive. Then I ask myself, can 3/6 simplify? I know that is 1/2, so that's a positive 1/2. Whew, that looks tons better. Now, I did parentheses. There's no more work in the parentheses, no exponents. So I do multiplication or division, whatever comes first. First, I see multiplication. So, I'm going to multiply this. This is understood to be over 1. So I have negative 3 over 2. Alright. So I think it would be easier to look at this as a mixed number. 2 goes into 3 one time, 1 left over, plus the 1. So if I owe someone $1.50 and I pay them $1, do I still owe them money? Yes, the dollars cancel out and I still owe them $0.50. So negative a half would be my final answer for A. Okay, let's take a look at B. I see parentheses, but there's no work inside the parentheses. I don't see any exponents. I do notice that I have this subtraction, then we always change subtraction to addition, so I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite this. Notice it really still looks the same. I haven't changed the problem any. This means the same thing. So there's no parentheses, no exponents, any multiplication or division. I see multiplication here, so I'm going to do that first. And I have a negative 5 times a negative 2.5. Well, a negative times a negative, that's going to be a positive. And 2.5 times 5, 5 times 5 is, oh gosh, 25. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. There's one decimal place, so bounce that. This is a 5, so 12.5, and it was positive. So now I have a negative 4 plus 12.5. That's different signs, so I subtract. So 12.5 minus 4 gives me 8.5. Keep the sign of the larger number. The larger number is positive, so my final answer is a positive 8.5. Okay, now taking a look at C. Alright, I see that we have a parenthesis, so I need to do work with that first. Inside the parenthesis, I have a negative and a positive, so different signs subtract. So I have 6 minus 3.5. Subtract that. I'm going to borrow here. That gives me 5. It gives me 2. Okay, 2.5. And the sign of my larger number is positive, so it's a positive 2.5. Rewrite my problem. Okay, I have no more parentheses, no exponents, any multiplication or division. I see multiplication here. 2 times 2.5. Well, I know 2.5 plus 2.5 is 5 even, and minus 5.5. I don't like seeing that, so I'm going to rewrite subtraction as addition. See, I have a positive and a negative. That's different signs, so I subtract. So 5.5 minus 5, I'm left with 0.5. Keep the sign of the larger number. Larger number is this guy, so my answer is going to be negative 0.5. Okay. Circle number 6A, but flip the page and cross out. So you circle 6A, but cross out B, C, and D. You don't have to do those. Now look at number 7A. Circle 7A. Circle just 7. 7A, I want to set this problem up for you. 7 is your homework problems. It says negative 70.4 divided by 4. I'm not very good with dealing with decimals when multiplying and dividing. I'm better with multiplying and dividing. I don't do real well with decimals. So what I like to do with decimals is I look how many decimal places I have in my problem, and this guy's only got 1, this guy's got none. So since he has 1, I'm going to back up the decimal 1 spot in both numbers. So I'm going to change this number to 704, negative 704, divided by, this decimal was there, back at 1 more spot. That makes that guy a 40. Now I have no decimals, so when I come over here and divide without a calculator like I'm supposed to, I get something a bit easier to work with. Instead of dealing with the decimal here, I can divide like that. So you'll continue on number 7 for your homework. But first, we're going to go back to problem 2. In problem 2, you have to get the problems from online, your Agile Mind. So I assigned the lesson to you, and what you do here is you'll see a page like this, and notice in the chart it says, some of them say addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So if you need an addition problem, you're going to click here, select addition, and it's going to give you some random numbers. You're going to write that problem under problem, and then you're going to answer it and hit check. If you skip, it's a different problem and you gotta work another one. Then when you've done the 3 addition problems you need, to try more points, it tells you the levels and how many points you can get for each level. If you keep leveling up, you're able to change the sign. So if I'm ready for my subtraction problems, I change it to subtraction, get my problem, you'd write it down, figure out the answer, and write the answer under the box. Same thing, that's problem 2. Then problem 4, same thing. You're going to have a little chart here, a little spinner thing. If I need an addition, hit addition. It's going to flip, give me some fractions to work, and I would practice working those, and then I can change to what operation I need. You might need some scratch paper for that. Okay, number 6. Take a look at number 6. Number 6 is just kind of a self-assessment. Look through that and rate yourself on how well you think you are. Number 7 is your homework that I'll be checking. And I also want you to look at page 219 through 221 in your workbook. These pages can be done for extra credit on your test. If you do these pages, you will get bonus point with your test. You'll be able to rip them out of your workbook and staple them to your test. I will know if you have calculator because some of them require some little math work, so I need to see the little math work. You can't just use a calculator. So if you do those pages, you can have extra credit. And that is wrapped up of block 9. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and peace out, home dogs.